Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Di, and what we do here is cooking, crafts and gardening. And today I'm in the kitchen and I'm going to be looking at what can I do with a load of lemons, because every year it's the same. If we've got orange, any sort of citrus trees, orange, limes, lemons, they all are ready at once and we get bucket loads. And it's great when we do, but what do we do with them to not make sure that they don't get wasted? So that we use them in different recipes. How do we preserve them? How can we best ensure that we're going to be able to spread those lemons over the year when we need them? So what I'm going to be doing is filming this over a few days, because there's lots of different things that I want to do with a load of lemons. And I'm lucky I got some lemons from quite a few people, from the produce swap meet that I go to, from my daughter who's got a lemon tree. I have a very small one in a pot, so I only get a few lemons from that. And yes, a friend brought me a bucket load as well. So I'm going to try and make the most of them, and follow me along on what we do with them. And the first thing we're going to do is to make lemon curd or lemon spread. So we'll get busy doing that. Okay, looking at what ingredients we're going to be using for our lemon curd. So we need, I'm doubling the recipe, so we're going to need a dozen egg yolks. Excuse me. We're going to use a dozen egg yolks. And I'm doubling this recipe because I want to make sure that I have enough for myself and my daughters. So I'm making, a few jars of it. And some I may even put in the freezer, because this doesn't stay on the shelf for very long. You do need to use it within a few weeks. So I'm going to be freezing some of it as well. So what we need a dozen egg yolks. I'm going to be separating those and only using the yolks, and then the whites are going to go in the freezer for when I need them another time. We need the zest of 4 lemons. Now I just wanted to show you, just bring the camera over here. I just wanted to show you when you're zesting a lemon. Now this is an organic lemon. It was grown on my daughter's tree, and I've given it a really good wash. But what I wanted to show you was, when you're zesting a lemon, what you're doing, I've got the box grater here that I'm using. You can use a microplane, but I'm just rubbing it along with the box grater, the very fine holes on the box grater, and I'm just taking off that top layer that's yellow. Once I get down to the white, I stop, because the zest is the yellow, that is the pith. The pith, the white part, is bitter. So we definitely don't want that in. So in any recipes where it calls for zest, make sure that you're only lightly grating it and just getting the coloured part off, whether it be oranges, limes, lemons. The same thing applies to all. What else we need is lemon juice, and we need 1 cup of lemon juice. So when I've finished zesting that, I need the rest of that juice, and that will make up my 1 cup of lemon juice there. I need 2 cups of granulated sugar, so that's just ordinary sugar, not caster sugar. I need 250 grams of cubed butter. Now I'm going to be putting that back in the fridge, because you do need to have that cold. And that's all we'll be using. So I'll finish zesting that, then I'll juice it, and then we'll get on, and I'll also separate those egg whites and egg yolks, and then we'll get on to what we need to do to make this. Okay, I've separated the eggs. I've finished zesting the lemon. I've got my lemon juice there, that's 1 cup, and my sugar. And you can see down there I've got my egg whites. They're ready to go in the freezer once I label them. Okay, now the first thing we need to do is to just whisk these egg yolks. And then I need to add the sugar and whisk this until it gets pale. You can really see the difference. These eggs are from my daughter's chickens, and they get to free range around her backyard, and you know, picking spiders and bugs and all that sort of stuff. They actually go under the lemon tree, that the lemons that she gave me, and so they're fertilising that for her. But the yolks are just so golden yellow, really orange colour. Very different to the shop bought eggs. So it's a little bit paler. Than what we started with. I need to stir in the lemon juice gradually. I'll just get something under that one. There we go. Something in that lemon juice. Okay, now we need to move over to the stove top because I have to heat. Now I need to heat this on a gentle heat, so I'm just adjusting the flame before I even put it on. So what I'm going to be doing is heating this over a gentle heat, and it will slowly start to thicken, and once it coats the back of a spoon, then it's ready for the next step. So this is going to take quite some time, so I'll bring you back once I've got it at the thickened stage. Now I double checked my recipe, and it didn't have anywhere where I add the zest, but I assume that the zest has to be cooked into it to get all those oils out of the zest, so I've added the zest to the saucepan, and I'm still cooking it over a gentle heat, waiting for it to thicken. Once it thickens, I need to add the cold cubed butter and whisk it through. Then we can either do two things. That's finished and ready to go if we want to leave the zest in, but if we want a really smooth lemon curd, once it's finished, we can strain it through a sieve to remove all that zest. And I think that for recipes and that, I prefer it to be very smooth without the zest, so I will be straining it. I think it's still a while away from thickening, so we'll come back once it's thickened. Okay, now the recipe says to cook it on a gentle heat until it coats the back of a wooden spoon, and I'd say that coats the back of a wooden spoon. So I've just dipped the spoon in there and I'm just letting it run off, but you can see it's actually coating that spoon. So I'd say that's done, and now we'll just turn the heat off. we'll add our butter and we'll whisk that through. Right, that's all whisked through, and now I'm going to strain it. So here we've got my bowl. That's a heat-proof bowl with my sieve, and I'm just going to pour it in. You can see it's very thick there. So I'm just going to pour it in. I'll just have to go and get a spoon to scrape all that. Just grab the spatula so that we can get it all out. Okay, it's all in there, and I think it's going to need a little help to get that through there. Yeah, it's going through a lot better now that I'm helping it. I think that the zest that's in there was quite a lot. It's clogging up the sieve, so just if I stand here and do this, we'll get it all through in no time. I did actually have a taste of it, and I licked the wooden spoon. I'll fess up. I wanted to taste it. It tastes delicious, but the zest in it was a little bit off-putting, so I'm glad that I decided that I'm going to strain it and get all that zest out. I'm just used to it being smooth, and that's how it will be when we finish. Okay, so that's all done. We'll just scrape the outside of this. Okay, that's done. Now the next thing is to put it in jars. Okay, so here we go. Now, I said earlier that this doesn't keep for very long, so if you do want to keep it, it has to be frozen. There's no point in water bathing it. That will not keep it because it's got eggs and butter in it. So I'm putting it into very small jars because I do want to share this with a lot of people. Okay, we'll come back when I've done all of that. So there you have it. They're all in jars. Now, what I recommend is, if you're going to be giving this away to someone, that you always label it with the ingredients. You never know what sort of allergies or some people just don't like to eat certain foods. So put your ingredients on the back. Now, that made 8 jars, and they're 120 ml each jar. And I did double the recipe. So there are many uses for lemons, and making the lemon curd was just one. Now there are a lot more that I'm not actually going to make and show you. So you can just juice them and put them into a ice cube tray and freeze them, and then when you need them you can just get them out and use them. And so what would you use them for? You can use them for anything. You can use them if you've got a sore throat. You might like to make a lemon and honey mixture with some boiling water. You can use the lemon juice over pancakes with a little bit of caster sugar and lemon juice. That's beautiful as well. The next recipe that I'm going to make is lemon meringue pie, a favourite of everyone. So this will be done in two different steps. So first I'll show you how to make the pastry, and then I'll make the lemon meringue pie itself. So let's get started on that. So for our pastry, these are the ingredients that we need. 1 egg yolk, 1/4 cup of caster sugar, 1/2 cup of margarine or butter, and 1.5 cups of self-raising flour. And we also have a little bit of water. We don't measure that out, we just add it until we get the right consistency in the pastry. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to cream our butter or margarine and sugar until it is light and soft. So I'll turn off and we'll come back when I've done that, because I'm sure you don't want to hear the noise of my mixer. Okay, we've beaten the margarine and the caster sugar until that's light and fluffy, and then we just need to beat in our egg yolk. So that's done. Now we need to add the sifted flour, and we need to mix that in. And just press through any lumps that might be there. Okay, that's done. And now we just mix that together. So just need a knife to do that. Let's have a look. Blend it with a palette knife and stir in enough water to bind. Okay, let's have a look at that. It does not need much water at all, just a splash. Okay. Now I'll just put some flour down on the bench. Flour my hands. Just get all the mixture out, and we'll pull that together in a ball. Okay, I'm just getting my pie plate ready so that when I roll that out, it's ready. so that when I roll out the pastry, it's ready to put it straight into my pie dish. So I'm just greasing my pie dish. Okay, that job is done. I'll just put a little bit more flour on top of that. And we'll start rolling. Oh, it's very crumbly. Perhaps I could have used a little bit more water. Yeah, it's very crumbly. Okay, so it was just way too crumbly for me to work with. So I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try to put it on some baking paper and roll it to the desired size, and then we'll see how we go from there. I do need to keep this floured. This is called a fleur pastry. I don't know that I'm very keen on this pastry because it is very difficult to work with, and maybe I should have just used a standard short crust pastry. If you like, you may like to skip this step altogether. You can do it in two ways. You can actually do it with a base like you use for cheesecake, so where you just make your biscuits into crumbs and then add some melted butter or margarine to make it stick together, and then you can use that as the base. Or the other thing you can do, you can buy pastry already done, so you don't have to make your own pastry. So you can buy some ready rolled short crust pastry, and then that means that you can skip this step completely. Okay, I'm going to see how we go with that. So wish me luck. This is absolutely falling apart, so I don't know how this is going to go. You're going to see it in real time as I do it. Pretty good. I'm just going to push it together there. Pretty good. There's a few holes that I'm just patching up. I don't think I'll be using this recipe again. I will include it. Maybe you'll have better luck with it. But it's just not a very good pastry recipe. I mean, I do make a lot of pastry, and I was following the recipe for the lemon meringue pie, which included this pastry recipe. So I thought, oh, you know, this might be the right one to go with the lemon meringue filling. But no, not using it again. You could see what happened there. So we'll just trim that off. Now, I just need to prick it with a fork. I need to blind bake it so I can use that again. I'm just making sure that I put the clean side against it. So I'll be back in a sec. Now, when you blind bake, that means to bake something without any filling in it. So what you need to do is to actually weigh it down so that it doesn't puff up and so that it retains the shape that you want it to. Now what I'm putting in here is rice. This rice, you can see, it's all brown. This rice I have used for years when I'm blind baking, so it doesn't get wasted. And when I finish with it, it just goes back in the jar for next time. So we'll just pop that into a moderate oven. We'll cook it for about 20 minutes. Then we'll remove the rice and we'll give it about 8 minutes after that. Okay, the timer has just gone off for the pastry, so I'll just get that out the oven. I do think that it possibly is a little bit overcooked from what I can see on the edges. I just have to get this now. The edges have browned a little bit more than I would have wanted, but I still have to put it back in to finish this cooking. So I'm going to get some foil and put it around the edges to cover that. Okay, so just covered those edges. Come on, stay put. I have to twist those together to make them join. I'll get that back into the oven. And that's only going to take a few more minutes. Right, so we won't put the lid on that until it's cooled down. We'll just get rid of this. Just clean up this spilled rice. Okay, the next thing that we're doing is making the filling for our lemon meringue pie. Now I've got all the ingredients out here. We'll just turn this around a little so that we can see what we've got there. So I'm also going to be making some lemon cordial, so that's what's at the back. I'll just move those out the way. That's not part of this recipe. So what we've got here, we've got 2.5 tablespoons of corn flour. I juiced 2 lemons and then I had to add water until it went up to 300 mils. So I've got 300 mils of liquid there, a combination of 2 lemons juiced and the rest is water. We've got 1 cup of caster sugar. Now, it does call for 2 egg yolks and then you use the egg whites. But I had an egg white left over from making the flour, and I had egg whites left over from making the lemon curd. So there's more than 2 egg whites in there. I really don't know how many's in there. But I like a lemon meringue pie. You know, when you go into the shops and you see the meringue piled so high, you think, wow, how did they do that? It's probably about 6 inches of lemon meringue on top of this pie. I love it when it's like that. That's why I've put the extra egg whites in there. And then in the front here, we've got 25 grams of margarine, and I've got the zest of those 2 lemons. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we need to do with this. So I'll just get my saucepan. Now we need to put the lemon juice. Oh, move you around so you can see my saucepan now. Just flip that down a little. Right, so we've got our lemon juice in there. We're adding the corn flour. we're adding okay, we only need to add half of this sugar. The rest of it is to make the meringues with. And you can vary it. It does say you can add a quarter of a cup to half a cup, depending on whether you like it really tart or whether you like a sweeter pie. So I'll probably put about a third of a cup in there, and I've saved 2/3 of a cup to make the meringue on top. Okay, so I just have to take this over to the stove. I have to cook this on gentle heat until it thickens. So come along with me. So first of all, I'll just blend that in before I put any heat on it. I don't know that that's going to make enough to fill my pie. Oh well, we'll see how we go. Now, you just have to cook it until it thickens. So once it thickens, I'll bring you back. It's getting very hot now and it'll start to thicken very soon. So let's just have a look at that as it thickens. I find that using a whisk is better than using a wooden spoon as far as preventing lumps when I'm cooking anything with corn flour or flour. So that's why I switched over there. So that's nice and thick, and then we'll take is to add our butter and our zest and our egg yolks and stir them in. And the heat that's in there will cook that egg yolk. Okay. I'll just pop that over there. And our pie crust is nice and cooked now. So what we need to do, I'll just grab a spoon, is to put this mixture into our pie base. You know, when I was cooking that, I thought, oh, there won't be enough, but that looks just right. So that looks just right. That is really nice. So it's nice and even there now. And now we just need to make our meringue. So I'll move that out the way and then we'll make the meringue. Okay, so when we make meringues, we need to make sure that all our equipment is really, really clean. Now, the last thing I used my beaters for was making that pastry, and there was butter on them. So I washed them, but I re-washed them. I'm just double checking that there's nothing left on there because, and the bowl as well, I double washed that. Otherwise, the egg whites won't whip up properly. So I'm just putting the egg whites into there, and then I'm going to beat them until they're stiff. We'll come back when that's done. Now, you can see that those egg whites are stiff because when I lift it out, and bring it to a peak. They hold the peak. There we go. So I'm putting peaks in there and they're just holding it. So because I added extra egg whites, I've just topped my sugar back up to 1 cup. Now I've got to add this gradually as I'm beating it. And there we have it. There's our meringue, beautiful and glossy. Now I just have to add that onto our pie. So let's move that. Bring our pie back. Now you can see with the burnt edges and it's a little bit rough. I wasn't really worried about it because I knew that the meringue is going to cover that and you're not going to see it at all. Taking it all the way to the edge of that pie crust, covering up any imperfections there. And then just making, some people will make a lot of peaks on it like that. The edges get browned more so than the flat bits. So there we go. Just doing that to it. You can actually pipe that. I did do it once like that. I didn't really like it. I like it done like this. So I'm just going to put that in the oven. Once it's cooked, I'll bring it back and show you. So while our lemon meringue pie is cooking, we're going to make some lemon cordial, or lemonade as it's in the recipe. So we have juiced 6 lemons. So I've got that there. And I've zested them. So we need to put the zest. We need sugar. How much sugar do we need? We need 2 2/3, no, we need half a cup of sugar. I was reading the water there. So half a cup of sugar. And we need 2 2/3 cups of water. Okay, we'll just get this onto the stove and cook it until that sugar dissolves. So we're just cooking this until we bring it to the boil and the sugar dissolves. So once that's done, we'll come back. I'm sure you don't want to see me stirring a pot for 10 minutes. So there we have it. You can see that it's boiling away there. I hope you can see that it's boiling away there. Seems to be in the shadow. Now it does say to boil it for a few minutes and then we need to cool it. Once it's cool, I'll add my lemon juice and then we'll do a taste test. And here we go. There's our lemon meringue pie. That looks absolutely delicious. we'll have to wait for that to cool down before we can try it.